Hello, in this video I would like to show you the chemical inventory system of Sciformation ELN in more detail. The chemical inventory consists of two main tables, the table for containers and the table of substances. A container represents an actual bottle in the chemical storage. It contains information such as the container size, container type, storage location and barcode. Whereas a substance represents a chemical substance such as a chemical compound or a mixture of chemical compounds, and the table for substances stores data such as the structure, sum formula, physical and safety data, Cas number, etc. Each container is assigned exactly one substance, but of course there can be several containers of the same substance in the chemical inventory. We can search for a container by going to chemicals and on search container. And here we now have several options for searching for a container. The most commonly used options are right here, whereas we can find additional options, for example, for container specific information down here and for substance specific information down here. As an example, we can just start by searching for methylbenzene as the structure, and now we have a lot of options here such as substructure search, similarity search or exact search. If we just use the substructure search and click on search, we will get all of the containers that contain this methylbenzene moiety. And as you can see, we end up with 4 containers, which are displayed in this list arrangement here. If we need more detailed information on a certain container, we can just click on it and we will get to the detail view. Here we get much more detailed information both on the container, which is here at the top, but if we scroll down in the container detail view, there will below the container detail view also be the detail view of the substance, in which we will have all of the substance-specific information, such as trivial names, Cas number, safety data, etc. We can view the safety data sheet for this container by clicking on View here. And we'll get the PDF of the safety data sheet, which we got from the supplier. And we can also close and open these group boxes here, just by clicking on them, which allows us a little bit to hide and show the information that we really need and keep all of this a little bit more organized. This layout can also be saved by clicking on View and then on Save Settings. To explain these parameters, let's just take a look at how to inventorize a new chemical. So let's say you have ordered a chemical at a chemical supplier and you want to inventorize it into the chemical inventory. How would you do that? Well, you would go to chemicals and to add container. Alternatively, you can also click new here if you are already in the chemical inventory, and you will get to this screen in which you can set the parameters for the new chemical container. Now the first thing that you want to do is to select the substance here. It is important to note to always look first in the substance database if a certain substance already exists in the database before creating a new one. So let's say we have just ordered a bottle of sodium carbonate. We can just enter it in the search here and we will see, okay, we already have sodium carbonate in our substance database, so we can just select it here. And if we scroll down, here we have again the substance detail view, and you can see that the data for the substance will automatically be entered here. Now let's take a look at the parameters here. Department is your department, which is usually your working group. The container size is the amount of material that is inside of the bottle. So let's say we ordered a 500 gram bottle of sodium carbonate. We would enter 500 grams. Now we can take a look at these 3 options here. If you inventorize a chemical, what you usually want to do is you want to weigh the container. You want to put it on a balance and enter the amount in grams that you get into this field here. So let's say we have this 500 gram bottle and we put it on a balance and we see the entire thing weighs 673 grams. What this will do is it will automatically calculate the tera with lid, which is the mass of the container and the lid. This will later enable a very easy stock keeping of the chemicals. Now you can add further information if you want. Date opened, you can leave it free. If the chemical is used for the first time in the lab journal, this will automatically be populated. The lot number is of course just the lot number that you find on the bottle. If you want, you can enter it, but usually it's not mandatory. Same for expiry date. ID and custom name usually don't need to be filled, except if your organization has some special rules regarding these fields, so we can leave them out for now. And we will go to the next group box, which is storage location. Now this is quite important because this will tell us where we can find this chemical. So let's say we inventorize in the chemical storage number 66 in the compartment bases. So let's say we have just a big safety cabinet and then there is a compartment which has the label bases, so we can put it there. And then we have the option to add a container barcode. I will talk about barcodes later in this video. For now we will leave this out. This will automatically generate a barcode for you. We can enter a protection gas if we have one. In case of sodium carbonate, there is no need for such a thing. Same for the temperature at which it needs to be stored. If we have some kind of heat-sensitive chemical that must be stored in the freezer, we can enter -20 degrees. And if we have a freezer in our storage locations here, it would actually highlight it and say, better put it in the freezer. In this case, we don't, so we can leave it out. Type of container should usually be filled with a description of the container, something like white plastic, blue cap. This is an information that will be very helpful if one of your colleagues is going to want to find this chemical in a certain compartment which holds 100 different kind of chemical bottles. Next we go to properties. We can fill out these fields as required. In our case, we can see we have 99.9% purity, but the rest doesn't matter for us, so we will leave it out. Next we can go to order. Here we can, for example, add the manufacturer. So let's say we ordered it from VWR, so we can enter this, and this is again an information that can help your colleagues later to find the bottle based on the appearance of the bottle. And as you've seen before, if we scroll down here, there is already substance information for sodium carbonate, and in this case we don't really need to do anything more. We can just click on Save and Exit, and now, as you can see, a barcode has been generated and this container has been successfully saved in the database. I would like to show you a different case as well, the case in which the substance has not yet been created in our substance database. So I will click on New again, and let's say we ordered a substance that's not yet in the substance database. The first thing that we should do is to find out if it's really not yet in the database. So the easiest way to do that is to take the CAS number and copy it into the quick search here. And you see that there is no result and only this option to create an entry is displayed. Let's click on it, and as you can see, the CAS number will be added to the CAS number field. And now the only thing that you need to do really is to click on Read Data from Suppliers. This button will send a request to all of these suppliers here, fetching all of the relevant safety as well as structural information. And if we wait around half a minute or something like that, you will see that all of these fields will be populated. So now, as you can see, there are several trivial names that have been entered into here. What is generally recommended is, first of all, to select the best name just by selecting this radio button here. So this will then be the default display name if one selects a substance, for example, in a reaction or just searches for it. And what may also happen is that there might be some trivial names that don't really make sense or just look very ugly, or there will be a lot of duplicates. So in many cases, for example this one in all caps here, they can just be deleted. If you scroll down, you will see that all of these informations have also been populated. So based on the CAS number, the lab journal has fetched the chemical structure for nickel COD from one of the suppliers, as well as chemical formula, molecular weight, the information at which temperature it shall be stored, as well as, importantly, the safety data. So we have the safety data here, and we also have the safety data sheet. And if we click on View, we can also take a closer look at the safety data sheet, in which we can find all of the safety information. And if we scroll down under MSDS, COA and other attached files, we can again find several MSDSs from different sources such as VWR, STRAM, Alpha, as well as in different languages in this case, so German and English, for example. So if the structure doesn't really look good, which might happen, what you can do is you can just edit the structure so that it is correct. In this case, I guess it's kind of an unusual way to draw nickel COD, but it's okay, it's alright, the chemical formula is correct. So let's just click on Save and exit, and what will happen is that the substance will now be set to this new substance that we've just created. Otherwise we can proceed just as I've shown you before. One more thing that I would like to show you here is the fact that you can just borrow the chemical. So if you click on container history, right now there is nothing there, but if you borrow it, it will say, I have borrowed it at this date, and then later on I can return it, and it will say, I've returned the chemical. And if a chemical is borrowed, and I log in as a different user, then this other user will immediately see that I have borrowed this chemical. And if I go into the detail mode, it will say it here again. And if I go to the container history, I can also see that my colleague has borrowed the chemical. And therefore I know, okay, I don't need to search for it for hours in the chemical storage, but I can just go to my colleague and ask him, because most likely he just has it under his bench right now. I have talked several times about barcodes now. So what's going on with these? What's a barcode and how can we use it? Well, if we click on print labels, we can print a label. Let's say we use the compact GHS template. And we can print a label, and as you can see, it has a barcode on the side. The barcode is unique in the entire chemical inventory and acts as a kind of identifier. So if you have a bottle, it will have a barcode on it. You can enter the barcode in the chemical inventory, or you can scan it using a barcode scanner, as I will show you in a couple of minutes, and you will always find out what is this bottle. What you can also do is you can print barcodes onto a big sheet of stickers using a laser printer, and then just stick those stickers onto the container as you inventorize them. So if you manually print out and create barcodes for your containers, they will usually start with a 1, whereas if the lab journal automatically generates the barcode number, it will usually start with 2. You can print these out, and then you can use them in order to quickly identify the container. So as you can see here, I've printed out such a sticker with a barcode, and I have a barcode scanner here. And if I scan the barcode, you can see that the substance will automatically be opened in the chemical inventory. This works from anywhere. If I go to lab journal, for example, and then I scan the barcode, it will ask me if I want to change to the container, and I can press yes, and it will directly go to the container. This is also very useful, for example, for borrowing chemicals. So what you can do is you can just place a very cheap netbook or something like this next to your chemical storage, and you can run a barcode terminal. I can start a barcode terminal locally just to show you how it may look. In this barcode terminal, if you scan a barcode, you can see that the chemical will be borrowed, and if you scan it again, it will be automatically returned. The last thing that I would like to show you today is what happens if you finish a container. So let's say you did a couple of reactions and all of the material in the container is used up and you want to trash it. But of course you cannot just trash it without removing it from the database, because otherwise maybe your coworker in a year or so will also look for chemical COD, and he will see, oh, there is this container, and he will go to the chemical storage and he will not be able to find it because it's already trashed. So you have to remove it from the chemical inventory as well. To do that, you just click on Dispose of, and then you click Yes. And when a container is disposed of, it will be removed from the list in the list mode. So you can see this is actually a different container. And if we go to the list mode, then the container of nickel COD that we just had, you can see that it's not there anymore. So the container will not be deleted, which is a good thing, because there may be some cases where you might have to look up disposed containers, but you can find it again if you go to search container, and now under the tab container you select that you also want to search for disabled entries. And in this case, in my database there is only this one container that we've just disposed of, and in the container history you will also find the information when it has been disposed of and who did it. In the case that the disposal was actually done by accident and the container wasn't really disposed, which sometimes happens, sometimes during a yearly inventory or something like this, a container suddenly appears that has been disposed of in the chemical inventory 2 years ago or something like that. Then if you have administrator privileges, you can also revert the disposal. So if you have administrator privileges, you have this button here, revert disposal, and if you click it, then the container will come back to life basically. You can also see it in the container history. And with that, I would like to finish the introduction to the chemical inventory, and in the next video I will show you a bit more about the electronic lab notebook. Bye bye.